So till now, the class person has only init method in it. If you want to add a new method inside the person class, how to do this? So the adding method inside a class is same like adding a new function inside the program definition. Remember here that the new method which you will add in the respective class definition will belong to that class only. So in this class person, if you have given a problem statement to add a function that prints a greeting and execute it on the P1 object, so you have to add new function like this. Remember, while referring to a function inside the class, they will be referred as methods, not functions. So this is the method declaration. It will print this greeting, hello, my name is, and the name. So the first parameter will be always a self parameter, and this line will create object of this class person, which will pass the values John and 36 to the parameters name and age respectively. At the time this object will created, this init method will call default, and it will assign the values which are passed here, name and age. And using this object, you can call the new method my function, which will print this output. So if you execute the code, you can see this output. So you can add as many methods as part of any class. Remember, all the methods inside a class you have to access using the objects of the class, and they will be referred as methods. Now see the next topic, the practice or a problem of next topic, which is inheritance. All of you know, using inheritance, a class can acquire the attributes and methods of another class. So this helps in using this helps in using reusability. So to 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 have a implement inheritance, you need to have two classes. Let's take example here, a class person which we already defined. The class person has two methods, init method and print name method. This program will create object of class person. Now another class student wants to access all the methods of the class person. So to inherit the person class, this syntax you must remember that you have to write new class name with the class keyword class name, and in the brackets you have to pass the name of the parent class, which will be person in this case. At the time of class declaration, if you don't know the about the behaviors and fields of the class, then just write the keyword pass. This will create the class only. So and now see in this line, this line will create object of class student. Student has inherited person as a parent class. So the init method of parent class will be called when this object is created, and it will pass the value Mike and Olsen to the first name and last name, and print name method will print the values. So if after executing this statement, you will see the value Mike Olsen. Now remember, X object is object of class student. It has access to the print name method because it has inherited person class. So uh, now see this example. In this example, you can, if you want to inherit the init function of the parent class, then in the class student, what you can do is that you can have init method of the student class, and if you want the functionality of init method should be same like the parent class, then this line will invoke the init method from the parent class, which is person in this case, when the object will created. After this, if you have to add another functionality for student specific object, then that you can add on here. If you use a super function, it will make the child class inherit all the methods and properties of its parent class. So the syntax of that is use the super method, and it will inherit all the methods and properties from its parent. So now let's see this example. Here you have two classes, person and student. Person will be the parent class and student will be the child class. So the student class has inherited person as a parent. Person has methods init and print name, and student has also init method. In this method, using super keyword, you can inherit all the functionality. And then if you want to add new behavior for specific for the student class object, like let's say uh, init person has only two fields, first name and last name, but this student class has additional field which is year. And if you want to assign value of the year in the init function of the student class, then you have to just add this line here. This line will create object of class student. When this object will created, it will invoke first the student class init method. Because this method has super function, it will then invoke the init method of the parent class. It will assign the values Mike and Olsen to the first name and last name. After that, this line will assign the value 2009 to the graduation year. And this method, the object of student class, will access the method print name of the parent class, and this line will print the graduation year. So if you execute the code, you will see this as the output. So basically, uh, these all are the examples of how to use inheritance in object oriented programming. So now let's take this example. This is just a simplified version, a modified version of the previous code. In this code also there are two classes, person and student. Person will be the parent class for the student class, and here person has two methods in it and print. Student has one method in it. Using super function, it will add the functionality of the init method of the parent. And now see, you can declare value of graduation year inside this method also. So graduation year value, you can write it this way. So this using these different ways, you can assign values to the fields. So this object, x student object, will get invoked because this object has person as a parent class. By default, when the init method of this object will get invoked, then Mike and Olsen value will get assigned to the first name and last name because of this, and value of graduation year will be assigned in this line. After the execution of this code, you can see the values. So now see the next example of how to use uh, class variables and instance variables. So see, here this is another class, employee. Now you will understand the difference between instance variables and class variables. So this variable is variable belonging to the class employee. It is not declare inside any of the methods. So this will be referred to as a class variable, and initially the value is assigned to 0. This employee class has three methods: init method, display count method, and display employee method. Init method by default will assign the values name and salary, which are passed to the objects at the time of object creation. And it will whenever new employee object will get created, it will increment the count. Display count method will print the total number of employees using this variable, and display employee method will print the self name and will print the name and salary of the employee. So see, here first employee object is created, here another employee object is created, and these two objects, employee 1 and employee 2, will call display employee method. So remember, the class variable value will remain same throughout for both the objects, but the value of name and salary will be different, which is like here. So if you execute the code, you will see the output. The for employee 1 object, the output is name is Omkar, salary is 4000, which the value we passed at the type of object creation. For a second employee object, name will be Shubham, salary will be 5,000, but this employee count variable, which is declared as a class variable, has now incremented its value as 2. So using this, you can understand how to use class variables and instance variables. So now see this example. This is again another example of how to understand inheritance. So see here, two classes are declared, student class and engineering students class. So if you study this example well, you will understand how to use inheritance. I will just execute this and I will share this file with you. You can access it and you just study it how to use inheritance. So now see this example. Okay, here we have our previous employee class, but see how to see the properties of attributes of a class. So like the doc attribute, name attribute, module, basis and dictionary. So basically what they tell is that the dictionary tells the dictionary containing the class namespace, doc attributes tells class documentation string or none, name attributes tells class name. Module attribute tells module name in which the class is defined. The attribute is main in interactive mode. And basis attributes tells the possibly empty tuple containing the base classes in the order of their occurrence in the base class list. So if you want to see these properties for the employee class, just execute this code and you will have these values. So document attribute, as it tells class documentation string or none if it is undefined. Here the value is none. Name of the class is employee. The module is main module, but the basis objects will tell the empty tuple containing the base classes in the order of their occurrence. So it's like class object and etc. And dictionary will give you the dictionary containing the class namespace. So refer to them if you want to provide information about class. And this is again another example of class inheritance. You try to study it by your own, then you will understand how inheritance you have to apply. So basically here there are only two classes, parent and child. Parent has one class variable and three methods: init, parent method, set attribute and get attribute. Child class inherited the parent class. It has two methods, init and child method. And when the class, this C object is created of child class, now see the child method. First it will call the child method, which is the method of base class. But the parent method, set attribute and get attribute method are all the methods of parent class. Still as child class object has access to them because of the inheritance. So if you execute the code, this is the output. Uh, so I hope all of you understood how to use inheritance classes and objects in this tutorial.